2015 wraps up, there is something every reader does and has a goal for, and that is to read as many books as possible during a span of a year. And if you're on Goodreads, you might have a reading challenge going. Mine was 30, okay? Just because with school and friends and social life and homework and sleep and everything else going on in life, but if you understand and you're a student, you'll relate that there's not much time you can find to read. Especially during the fall semester because, you know, you're new to school, you're trying to figure everything out. There's not much time. I do more reading in the spring semester than I do in the fall semester. And anyway, so, like I said, mine was for 30 books. And I maybe made a little over half. I got 20 books read. Well, actually 19 and a half because I haven't finished it yet. But 20. We're going to count it. And so these are just like my favorite books I've read over the year. I like books that impacted me or inspired me or I just really liked and were fun to read. So let's get started. Books are in no particular order. Maybe when I start getting to like more significant books, I'll be like, this one is my by far favorite. But these ones are kind of like, they're neutral. I don't really have a ranking for them. I just really like them. The first one is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. I don't have a video on this one. I wish I did. I just don't because I was busy. There was finals going on when I read it. Just life was just crazy, and now I don't think I could make a really good video reviewing it because I remember it, but I don't have like the emotions of just finishing the book and be like, oh my gosh, this was so good. But I really liked this book. It was good. Pictures in here were creepy. Funny story. I was reading this like 2 in the morning and a really creepy picture came up, and yeah, I didn't sleep that well that night. Yeah. But anyways, I really like this book. Apparently, I was so confused going to this book. I literally thought this book was going to be something else, and it turned out to be totally different. And I really liked it, and I'm just going to give a little overview about this one boy. He's seeing things, and he's wondering, why am I seeing these things? And people think he's crazy. Turns out he actually has this like power to be able to see this stuff. And turns out there's also this time loop where a bunch of kids live in this time loop to be able to protect themselves from the outer world and these monsters. And he goes and finds them and he kind of lives with them. And it's just a great book. And just if you haven't read it, get it for your 2016 reading list because it's fantastic. Next up we have this book. I think it's really one of my favorites only because I read it and was able to relate to it. And it actually really helped me a lot through a lot of my decisions in college and coming into college and this new world and experience, and that is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. And I'll put a link to my video on it about talking about this book, and just it's a fantastic book. It's about this girl, her name's Kath, and she enters college for the first time. She's kind of a newbie way. She was like me, kind of introvert, like I'm not really gonna go out and meet new people because I can't talk to people, and I just relate to her story so much. And the book was fun, and honestly it actually helped me make decisions in college and helped me get out of my comfort zone more, and I just love this book. Since you've been gone, I can now breathe for the first time. Hey, if you haven't guessed what this book is, it's Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson. I haven't made a video about this either. Contemporary books I don't really make videos on just because I like them, but I don't like, oh my gosh, this is what I thought of it and stuff like that. Contemporary books are more like personal books. I tend to take more things away from them than I do with the other books. But Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson, I just love this book. This book has also helped me in college, who knew? And about this girl, she's kind of likes to play it safe. She's not like the outgoing adventurous, like let's take risks. She's more like, I'm gonna play it safe. She had this one best friend who was really outgoing, risk-taking, like, let's live it up. And so one day her best friend just vanishes. It's completely gone and vanishes on her. But her best friend leaves behind this list. And in this list is all these things that the main character, Emily, would have been terrified to do, and she has to do this by herself because she believes if she completes everything that's on this list, it'll lead her to her best friend. And honestly, I relate to this book in a way because I'm very much like Emily. Like,
okay, let's not take risks, let's play it safe, follow all rules. Rules were put in this world for a reason, let's not break them.
And I was able to meet friends who thought, but they were more of the outgoing, hey, let's go do laser tag at 12 o'clock at night. You're like, no, it's past 10. But they helped me get out of my shell more and made me be not so much of an introvert. And so this was able to relate to this book after I read it. But I still found parts of myself in the book when I was reading. I really liked writing style. Like, if you ever read a Morgan Matson book, you know her songs in it and like pictures, like Amy Rogers' Epic Detour, they put like pictures in it. Like his whole playlist, and a lot of the songs I listen to, so it's like really cool. I was so sad when this series ended. And maybe this would be like my top 5-ish. Yeah, this is my top 5-ish. I'm not sure where the top 5 this one lands, but it's in my top 5, and it is In the Afterlife by Alexander Bracken. I didn't like it as much as The Darkest Minds, but I love the series, and it concluded so wonderfully, and I just loved it. And I'm going to link it to my video so we can go talk about this together. This book was amazing, and I just loved the series. It was just amazing. Next up, we have 2 books, but I'm counting them as one because they're part of the same series. And I actually forgot how much I loved this series. I read the first book and I kind of put the series down for a year. And it wasn't because I didn't like it or anything. It's just I didn't have time to, because I'm not one of those people to read a series back to back to back. I usually read one book in a series and I'll come back maybe a few books later, pick up the second book. And I just never got to finishing this. And part of me's happy about it because then it made the books last longer for me. Part of me was mad because then it was like, why did I give up perfectly good series? And that is Prodigy and Champion by Marie Lu. I love this series. I never cried so much in a series before, but I loved it. And I love these books so much. Like, they are one of my favorite books. When I got a signed book by Marie Lu on Black Friday, it made my day. The next book, I almost didn't read it. I almost didn't pick it up. I thought it would be one of those books that got a lot of hype, but did not live up to it. I also didn't read it until one day I was at the bookstore. I'm like, Stephanie, we're buying it today. Like, today is the day you're gonna buy it, and you're gonna see what this hype is all about. And I'm so glad I bought it. And that is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I love this book. I mean, I just loved it. Like, loved it. Loved it. I love this book, okay? And you know how there's some books where just you can't describe why you like it, you just like it? This is one of those books, like, I just loved this book. It was amazing. Characters were well developed, and just reading this storyline, it's such a good book. And honestly, if you haven't picked it up, go read it. The second book comes out in February called Glass Sword. Go read that too when it comes out. I can't wait to read it. I just really like this book. It was such a good book. Another book I almost did not read. Funny how all the books I tell myself maybe I shouldn't read, I end up loving, and that is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I saw someone like this on Goodreads. I read up and I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. But I have this book buying fear. I don't know if you have this fear, but I have this book buying fear where I buy a book and then I either A, never read it, or B, hate reading and don't read it again. Because that used to happen a lot. I used to buy books, go to bookstore and be like, I want that one, and that one, and that one, and maybe only read like 2 of them. So I have a lot of unread books, and I was here, this book would be one of those like,
okay, sounds good. Like,
reading it, and this is really boring. Why did I spend my money on this type of book? But it wasn't. I just loved it. And I read this in 2 days and I couldn't even put it down. Normally I'm able to guess in books like who the villain is, who did what, why. But this book, I honestly couldn't. I literally was like, okay, it's this person. I'm so sure it's this person. Then it wasn't. And I was just so surprised at the end. I love these books. Honestly, you have got to read these books. If you haven't read these books, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Just go read them because they are fantastic, and I can guarantee you will love them. This book was more of a spur of the moment, like, I don't know, I just feel like buying a book today, but I don't know what book I want to buy. So I go on Barnes & Noble, search up at Throne of Glass. Like, everyone talks about this series. Maybe I should read it. And so I did, and it was so good. I read this in like a 20-hour car ride, reading for 20 hours straight, and it was so good. If you don't know why you should read these books, let me tell you why you should read these books. If you need that extra encouragement, like if you're hesitant about books, like, actor's good, but I don't know if I want to read it, this is why you should read it. One of the main characters, his name's Dorian. He is bae, and if that doesn't tell you enough on why you should read these books, then I don't know what to tell you, because Dorian in this book is amazing, and go find out how awesome he is, because he is amazing. Next book, you're gonna say,
Sunny, why have you read this book already?
because I had discovered the love of reading kind of when I was 12. I hated reading up till then. Like, hated, couldn't read it, behind to read, just sucked at reading. And still around 12, I discovered the Little House books, and we just took off from there. And I wanted to read these books forever, like forever. I want to read these books. These books are kind of what, now knowing that the series is done with, a lot of kids read when they're like 10, 11, 12. And I was like, okay, I feel like I just missed that train altogether. So I just haven't read them because I don't want to admit like, oh, I haven't read them yet and I'm reading them now. But then I saw one of my favorite YouTubers reading them and I was like, okay, it's okay. I can read these books. I can still get on this bandwagon and be part of this fandom. And that is the Harry Potter series. I know, you're shocked. I haven't read Harry Potter yet.
Don't judge me.
Please. I actually love this book, honestly. I went into this book knowing I'd like it, but didn't know I would love it. Like, honestly, I'm ready to just quit college and go to Hogwarts. Can I do that? Is that an option, go to Hogwarts? I love the series, the characters. I'm only like halfway through it, but I can already tell you this is gonna be like one of my favorite books. And it's a great series. And I can't tell you to read this because you probably have already read it before, but it's fantastic. Now I get why everybody likes that. The minute you read it, it's like these books are magic themselves. The minute you read it, you're in the book. I don't even know I'm turning pages half the time. That's how absorbed I am into the series. Fantastic, and I love these series, and I actually just love this book. I haven't read the rest of the series yet, but I know I like those two. And they're so good. Anyways, thank you for watching my 2015 favorite books. In the comments below, write what your favorite books are. I'm interested to know. Thank you for watching. Give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it. Thank you all who subscribed to me. Like, thank you. I can obviously not thank you enough. So thank you for that. And thank you for watching. Bye!